It's a late night coding session again here. Hopefully a bit more productive. Decided to try something a bit easy. And I think this is doable, you know. I can't see it. Hopefully not going to run into too many problems. We're going to make a basic top-down shooter, single screen, which is akin to Space Invaders or Galaga, or whatever it's called, Galaga. I'm toying with the idea of actually making a Space Invaders clone, see how it goes. I mean, I've got a rough idea of what I could do to make the aliens spawn in that nature, but don't know if I actually want to do that. Might come up with another way of spawning the enemies. This is a fresh project again. I've started with this. Got my boilerplate at the moment. I always start with this. So I've created two bitmaps. One's a spaceship. The other, as you can see, is some sort of alien. And if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen all this. This just does a random number. This draws us our pixels. This is some sound stuff we're playing with. You can create sounds on the 48K beeper. And this is a sprite drawing function which uses this. Probably put that over there actually. That one all the way over there. There we go. Yeah, this uses screen tools to draw the sprites of any size. In this game, all of the sprites so far are going to be 16 by 16. So I may come in and modify this. I don't think it'll be clever to do that though, because you know, I might want some scenery to be not 16 by 16, then I'd have to write another thing. So if this works without having to be changed, then we'll use this. Draw a sprite of any size. So let's begin. You'll have to forgive me, my mouse wheel's playing up, so I often have to slide it in the end. Take a copy of my data format which I've set up for this sprite drawing tool. I'll need to create my my data to match that. So as usual, I'll just create the player first. I'm working completely from scratch here. Just going to call it player data. Find byte. Set it to alive. Excuse me. I want him in the bottom center of the screen. Okay, that should center him in the middle. size X is in cells is 2, 16 lines down. That's a player. Let's get him moving. Let's get him on screen. Not sure why it's not finding delete sprite. Can't see that making any difference. Just going to compile it and see if it works. Line 20 bitmaps is not found. I've saved this in the wrong place. Shooter. That's why. Right, just in case anyone watches this when I've uploaded it. There's the folder structure. So bitmaps is in with shooter.asm and util contains all them other ones. Okay. Do it again. I'll run it. Oh, that's funny. It compiles anyway and runs, but I wasn't expecting it to do anything. We've somehow drawn into color memory there. There's the bitmap. Oh, wait a minute. Is it deleted then? Oh, okay. It's a bit better. We've got our ship partially drawn. I think what's happening is I've set the Y value. Oh, sorry about that. Something like that. Set the Y value too high. This clears the screen and opens channel 2, and I don't even fully understand what that is. It's something to do with the space at the bottom for the bottom of the spectrum screen for like a different, for like a UI column or row of text. So I'm going to try let's just make it 150 or 160, take away 8. That'll do for now. Yeah, there we go. Can't remember changing the border, but I want to do it, just make it look a bit better. Just look it up on my list, see if I've got it. Excuse me. Alright, red border will do. And create a new file. Just wondering what to call it. It's going to check the keys. It's going to call a function when it's going to call like the specific function I want it to when a certain key is pressed. So I guess I'll call it keys. No. I'll call it player movement.asm. I think I'll keep that in just the main root folder of the game in my file explorer. Check keys. I've pre-written this somewhere. Grab it. Right. I only care about A and D right now. Right. I want to keep. We're only ever going to have one player. I'll make a separate. I'll cache a value for their speed. Just muting myself a minute. Right, yeah, I'm back. Okay, I'm just going to add some movement. Sometimes I have to look at the reference. I just want to check, can I increase IX plus N without using another register? One day I'll know it straight off the top of my head. I knew I could, yeah. Oh, of course I want to add speed to it really, but just waiting for that to load. It's very slow on my machine. No, no such luck. Right. Load A with it. Oh, what do I call it? Player speed. The auto completes being very strange. Normally it works. I've always wondered how it does work when it's not in the same files. Oh, it's doing that rubbish again. It's really that straightforward, isn't it? The thing is, that's going to do it every frame. Probably have to come up with some way of slowing that down. Some sort of timer. But it's okay for now. Just do the same over it. Oh, of course, that's sub. I should have changed it afterward. Right in between those delete and draw calls, I'll make a call to my check keys, which handles everything else. These are basically can be thought of as private functions. Do private methods. If you're working in C#, similar sort of thing. I'm much more familiar with C# than assembly language, although I haven't used C# for about almost 2 years, so I'm not really familiar with any of it anymore. In between times I did do some C++ as well. I've got myself sidetracked yet again. Oh yeah, player movement. Check keys on it. And that wants player data again. Was it yeah, player data. Let's give that a whirl. Oh. Check keys is undefined. Player movement.asm. I haven't included it. That would help. 41 of player movement. Oh, with sub you don't have to specify which register it is. I don't know why Pasmo can't just deal with that. Oh, I've done the same. I've still not fixed it. Oh, player speed is undefined. I know why that is. Because I'm sort of down the hierarchy now, aren't I? So I'll kind of mess this up. But I can just define it down here instead. I'll sort it all out later into a better structure at some point. Like I'll move this in with it and do all my player stuff there. Should work, I think. No, still the same. Line 41 player movement, end line expected, but comma found. I put the A back for some reason. Still no. Oh, it's player speed X. Silly boy. Do you know what? I'll try and put that back in the main ASM for now, just to see. I'll be interested if that works. Huh, no. I'm struggling with basic stuff. Wait there a minute. Saying it's a non-existent instruction. Don't get why that is. That has to be a constant. Load. That's strange. I mean, the speed's 1. Let's just try that a sec. Oh, that compiles and it moves, but it's doing it without me telling it to. Okay, what the hell's going on here? I mean, just out of interest, I just tried commenting that out. It still moves. It's nothing to do with the check keys. The hell? I mean, it is something to do with the check keys. Yeah. But it's not anything to do with the actual contents of that. That's strange. Right doesn't work either. Most odd. I've used these functions a lot and I've never had a problem. I won't explain how that's working, but I can tell you it should work. If you want to know how that works, I have got videos, they're probably still on Twitch. If not, they're on my YouTube, Retro Coder TV. You just look up like beginner input Z80, it'll probably come up. Or if you go to my channel, it'll certainly be in the playlist. I mean, really, seeing as I'm not using this, I should not bother with them push and pop, but I can't see this causing any problem. Very odd. Very, very, very odd. I mean, as a stupid debug, I'm going to try pasting it straight in there. Just to make sure. Interesting that that now works fine. Oh, I think I spotted the obvious mistake. I didn't have a return. Oh, I had my mic muted. But it works perfectly now. So that's that molehill scaled. So it seems I have to use another register to, can't compare, can't subtract, I mean using the variable. Oh, of course, I could just make this a constant. Shame this autocomplete isn't working, but oh, it's going left by itself again. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. It was just working. Oh, the return's gone. I'm going to manage that. Deja vu. Oh, over there. Let me zoom in and see what this looks like a sec. That's not bad. That's speed. And if we wanted to, we could like slow it down to make it harder and speed it up still a little bit. So that's good. I'm going to go with 4 for now. It's probably good to keep them power of 2. Unless we want to write some sort of special code. Might look a bit smoother. Power of 2. So the player. Oh yeah, I wanted to stop him capping. I'm not sure if compare will destroy the A. Might have to load it twice. The reason I'm comparing it against speed is because I want 0 plus player speed. Just want to look how the flags are affected. Don't know it off the top of my head. I'll paste it in again. Loading extremely slowly. Just paste it here, why not? So I want to know is A less than N. C flag will be set. Let's see. I'll probably have to load A again. In fact, what I'm going to do is load it now. Yeah, and then check it, going left. Okay, look, we stop at the edge of the screen now. No need to worry with the overlap. And that's dead on the edge of the screen, which is great. And also, that should be robust if we just change the constant, especially if it's power of 2. Now I'm just going to comment that out and see if I need it. I think it might be needed, but only because it changed. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's just check. Seems to work without it. Let's delete it then. Yeah. This time I want, is it more than or equal? So as the C flag will be reset, not set. Is that going to be enough, or do I need to take an extra 1 off? I certainly need to take the player width. Easiest way of doing that is just having a constant, which kind of eliminates me needing that. That means we've got to change it in 2 places now if I ever want to change the width. But I think this will work. I can't remember having done that before, but yep, it's looking beautiful. Stops a little bit first, a little bit early. Do I have to worry about the speed? There we go, that seems good for now. I think because we're using power of 2, that's the reason. In fact, I think, well, yeah, because if it doesn't divide exactly with 8, we would have had a problem there. We'd need a bigger buffer. Quite happy with that speed. It's only a simple game. I think we'd leave it at that speed, and therefore I can just delete that. Keep it simple. So I could either try and make bullets now, or enemies. The only thing that's putting me off making bullets is the bullet. Let's just say it's 1 pixel, but I've only dealt with a minimum of 8 by 8 sprites or characters. So really, a bullet travelling upwards is actually one character, 8 frames. This is the way I see it, at least. I don't see how we can just move one bit upwards. That's like a completely new byte of data. Well, we might have to bypass our sprite drawing functionality is what I'm trying to say. We need to come up with a way of drawing a bit, one bit, to the screen memory. The problem is when it crosses a line, the screen pixels do not go in order like the color one does. So I could easily make an 8x8 projectile if I wanted to, but that's not going to be very realistic. Likewise, even when it's shooting up the screen, the collision detection is going to be fishy. It's going to always be a character, isn't it? So I'm going to have to do a bit level or per pixel collision really to make this game playable. Well, we've got YX to pix. That's exactly what I need, because I can just give a bullet a YX value and it should give me the exact pixel memory. So I can come up with a way of using that. I wrote this code with a great deal of help. I really wish I'd commented every line now. I know what it does, but I want to know why it's doing it straight off the bat without having to look at it a lot. I mean, I know what the whole function does. It does what it's named. I want to do the bullets because doing the enemies is boring. It's pretty much the same as what we've just done there. I mean, spawning the enemies and that's not so boring. I think I'll just have a row of enemies come down from the top of the screen, stop, and then a bit like Galactian, whatever it's called, one by one they'll just come and attack you when you've killed all of them. A new lot will spawn. Eventually they'll, I might even make it so there's a boss once you've done enough waves. But it is going to be dead straightforward. Like, it's not going to be a complicated version of that. The enemies are probably just going to do the same thing over and over. I'm just practicing in assembly language, really. I'm not trying to make an actual, even homebrew game or anything. I'm just making a personal game to play on my own as a challenge. Really, if I wanted to make even a Spectrum game, I'd probably get a game engine if I wanted to release a game. Because loads of this stuff I'm doing it's done already by someone else who knows a lot more. But it's always nice being able to write it yourself rather than using a game engine, because unless you understand everything about the game engine, you're basically just sort of painting by numbers a lot of the time. You have to go and look up how to do something and fit into their restricted way of showing you how to do it. How am I going to do this pixel then? Well, for a start, I'm going to load up the game. He's got two guns there. I don't know if you can see it. So I actually want two, but again, let's focus on getting one for now. But obviously, I'll just give him origin points, and I'll do two when I eventually get one working. Let's do the same thing twice. So for now, I'm just gonna spawn a bullet from the player's origin at the top left of his sprite, and I'm going to shoot it upwards, and that's going to take me forever. Probably won't even finish that tonight. You know, I might do. Can't promise it. To speed things up, I'll make it just so that S shoots. That'll do. Okay. This is new territory for me. In object oriented language, obviously you can just call like instantiate, and you'll have a template of what a bullet is. You could probably already assign it some velocity, and then as soon as you instantiate it, it just shoots up the screen. But of course, it's nothing like that in this. I've got no such pre-written functionality in the Spectrum, not even for drawing the sprite with pixel. It's a very bad habit, but sometimes I need a cigarette when I think about this. Think about something complicated. Well, firstly, ideally, I want to make it so you can shoot as many bullets as you want. It doesn't just reset the bullet when you shoot. So we have to come up with an array of bullets. And I'll just put that in the main data folder. How many times am I going to call a file a folder throughout my streaming career? I don't know. A lot of times. Call it bullet data. Now we're not using my sprite drawing function. So it doesn't matter how we lay out the data. If I was using this draw sprite, I'd have to have it set up accordingly. Just trying to think, can I use that draw sprite? No, because this is nonsense for drawing one pixel. So where was I? Yeah, so we don't have to lay it out like this at all. What am I going to want my bullet data to consist of? Well, an is live ball is always necessary. I mean, why not keep it the same? We're going to want an X and a Y. The size is just going to be 1 pixel. It's going to want a speed, but they're all going to travel the same speed. That can be a constant. And at 8. Well, then again, yeah, because we're going to go pixels, but remember there's less pixels height than there are width, so that speed is going to appear even faster. Whatever. Well, we've got a speed, got a position. I mean, it'll have to have it doesn't even have to have sprite data because it's just a pixel. This is going to take me a long time though to actually get this drawing on the screen, I think. Wait a minute. If we've got a bullet speed of 8, that's exactly 1 character cell. It's just going to jump up a character cell. I suppose we could make it like a laser. I think that's quite common on the spectrum actually, isn't it? Gonna have to draw it by hand in bits. I guess it has to be like this because why is it because? Oh yeah, because unless you want a bullet speed of 1 or even 4, I mean it's gonna jump. It's gonna look rubbish, isn't it? If it's 1 pixel jumping 8 pixels at a time, you're not even gonna see it really. And obviously if it goes any slower than that, it's not gonna be a fun game. So the way I see it, it needs to at least have a bit of length to it. It may as well be a full 8, but I might be wrong here. If it is a full 8, I'll probably use my... Well, if it's a full 8, it could be a UDG, and then we don't even need to use a draw. We could use all that stupid ASCII at code. And I want to avoid that really. At least if I do it like this, it gives me scope to make a different shape projectile and stuff. Well, I suppose a UDG will as well. Oh god, I'm confused now. Actually, it doesn't matter what values we give that, but if we make it all it's alive, saves having to set it to alive when we spawn it. Having said that, no, we'll set it to not alive, because otherwise we'll just have to write some other code to figure out whether it's been fired or not. Let's just say a maximum of, well, the loops can really kill this. Let's just say a maximum of 5. In fact, 3. And maybe I'll, instead of, no, I will do my normal trick, which is just having one there like that to end the array. Excuse me. I am going to match the data up, so I'll just leave it. This is going to allow me to actually move the bullet one line up at a time very easily. So obviously it's 1 byte and 8 lines. Okay. So in our main game function, we'll just want to draw all bullets that are alive. So how do we do that? Well, very similar to this, except we want to check if they're alive and there's a loop. So there's a multiple of them, so we need to loop. Now let's try and do it in line, make it faster. Bit messier but faster, hopefully. Draw bullets, label. I'm going to want to do that anyway. We'll load A with IX, which is the is alive ball. Do you know what? No, it's 255. That's right. And then return if they're equal. So if it hits the end of the array, it's out of there. So we do want to make a function rather than it just makes life easier. Maybe after we've got it working, we can come up with a way to inline it. So we'll return out I'm not sure if I have to load A again, but I think I do. Maybe the compare changes it or something. I don't think compare does actually. We might not need that. I'll do that. This time I'll compare if it's alive or dead. That means dead. And if it is, I'll jump to a label I'm about to make called draw bullets, go next. What that's going to do is just load any 16-bit register with the length of our data for one bullet, which is 5, so I need a constant for that really. Add IX with BC. Oops. So just incrementing the pointer by 5 onto the next bullet, and then we want to go back to draw bullets. Alright, so it's going to skip back there. As long as it doesn't find the end of the array signal, it's going to check if it's alive. If it's dead, it's going to skip back. But if it's alive, that's when we want to draw it. It's going to want the HL, and in fact we don't want to do that every bullet. And that's in bitmaps. It's called bullet 1. Alright, so that'll draw all the alive bullets. We need to do the same thing to delete them. Yeah, as far as I can tell, that should work fine. Alright. So we just call it and it checks if it's alive inside there, which is fine. Now, I've run into problems doing this already in the past with the loops. The Specky seems to not handle too much on the screen at once, and I was in the process of making these much more specific to the exact size of each sprite and then inlining it, but you don't gain that much as far as I know, so I've given up on that right now. and I'm just practicing like this, and eventually I'm going to move to a more powerful system, to be honest, I think. But we'll see how this works for now. I'd want to make some kind of working game on the Specky before I move on from it, with a main menu. I mean, I've got one saved that I made on my own, but I want to try and make one live that works nicely. I didn't finish the two that I made on my own, although they are quite, there's more than one level on them. And a main menu in that. So that's what I'm going to try and do here, but over the course of a few days. And it's just going to be basic, like I say. So this should draw and delete our live bullets. We haven't got anything to move our bullets. Probably want to do something similar. Yeah. Note that I don't have a return function, return instruction at the bottom, and it's not needed because I always jump back to the start of this thing, and eventually it's going to find my signal. Now, if I didn't put a signal of 255, we'd have a problem. It would have to wait until it got to here, I expect, and it would think that this is all bullet data. And obviously you might not have that there, and that's a constant anyway, so it wouldn't find that. It's much more manual and non-managed, this way of coding. It's old school as well. As far as I can tell, that's going to be all good. We've just got to move the bullets here. Well, we've got bullet speed, have we? Yeah. It's going to move a whole character set at a time in it, so it makes a lot of this redundant, but at least we can change that to like 9 or 6 or whatever now. God, what am I doing? Here we go. Just looking up something. I want to see if I can do ink constant on the IX plus N. I doubt it. No, I could ink it. See, if I knew I wanted, I was happy with 8. I could ink it 8 times. But it's better and probably quicker on the processor anyway to do this. Load 8. Load A with the Y value of the bullet, not in K. Add a speed, bullet speed. Of course, speed should be a minus value. To keep things simple, let's just sub it. I think I don't need the A now. Load the new value in. Alright, so if my brain is working correctly right now, all we have to do to spawn a bullet is find a dead one, spawn it. Of course, we're going to want to come up with a way to restrict the player holding the button and getting one bullet every frame. That's very simple. You can do short delays really easily. Well, I call it a delay. It's not a delay, you know, it's a timer or a interval between, you know, timed interval. We'll just set up a very simple one, a very simple timer. I'm pretty sure there's a routine in the Spectrum already doing the timer, but I haven't managed to look any further into that yet. I'm sure there is a routine where I can call a memory address, or even a routine that's got a timer running already, and you can probably use that to time these events. But I'm going to cache my own timer and reset it every time I fire a bullet. But for now, let's just let it spawn one. There we go. See what happens. Every frame, unrestricted. So it needs to find. You need to iterate through all of these, just like move bullet, really. The thing is, IX at this moment in the code is the player data. We want to use either IX or IY because that allows us to iterate through these with the offset offset that we're using frequently. Now let me just think here. At this point, we could flush IX, couldn't we? We could. What I mean by that is we could just load IX with the bullet data pointer right now. Yeah. Don't see why not. Although we'll need to take the player's position first. That could be a problem. I mean, I know I could push to the stack and pop it to another register and all that, but the reason I'm pausing is I can think of about 5 ways of doing it, and I'm trying to make sure I think of the right one. I'll be right back. I need to go use the toilet. I'm going to be back in a minute or so. One sec. Okay, I'm back. Right, I'm not going to do that, I don't think. IX already contains the player and we need it. Let's just load it into IY. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I don't like the fact that I'm putting this in the player movement function folder, really. File. And I'll probably have a look at this in my free time and maybe move it all about. So bullet. This is where it gets interesting. We want to return out after we've done one. We also want to return out if we get to the end of the array before finding a live one. Or a dead one, actually. We're looking for a dead one this time. So we'll load AIY 255 turn Z. Should have tested if that was needed already. Well, we haven't even tried it actually, have we? If it's alive, we'll go to next. I think this is all fine. The only difference is we want to return when we spawn so that we don't get another one. Well, we'll start to spawn it. Double check something. I think we need to use A. I think it's as simple as return actually. Don't think we need to do any comparison. It's reached a point where it's found a dead one, makes it alive, returns completely. Yeah, this is good. So if we had a timer now before we called spawn bullet, so if we put a timer here, the timer would actually have to be in an update. We'll update the timer each frame, but we'll reset it here and check it. Check timer here. We don't want to just only do the timer when they're holding fire, but we will obviously check it there. I don't want a timer at the moment. I want to make sure it works. Fire, fire. Turn there. That actually seems to me like it's going to work. We've written a hell of a lot of code there without compiling in between. Let's just try and compile and see what happens. It compiled. Oh, something appeared at the top left, look. Let me zoom in because my eyes aren't great. Do you know what? I think we're good. We just haven't set its position. Also, it's not moving, but it was already at the top of the screen, so we'll deal with one thing at a time. So when we spawn it, it's a good time to just set its position. Let's load A with IX plus 1. Load IY plus 1 with A. Simple. Copy paste. Change them to 2s. The X and the Y sorted. It's just going to come out at the top left of the. Oh, to be honest, hang on. Let's add. No, let's sub 8. Move bullet up 8 pixels. Okay, well, it's not working, but the position is. That's great. And obviously, it's fired all three and not letting us fire anymore. Nothing's killing the bullet. Let me take another look, see what's happening here. Try and just tap it one time. Oh, the first one did come out alright, didn't it? Let's have just one. Yeah. Okay. So maybe when we add the timer, it might fix itself, because it's drawing the bullet. Where is it drawing the bullet? Here. And it has the HL pointer. It should always know what to draw. But somehow HL was getting affected, but the second time it was getting fired, which I find really odd. find that very, very odd. But I reckon it might fix itself when we've added the timer to the bullets and the speed so that they move, they don't overlap. So I'm going to try just leaving it at 1 bullet for now, figuring out why it's not moving. Did I call move bullets? No, I didn't. That'll be why. So it still wants IX for the bullets. Alright, well that's fine. I didn't cap the movement of the bullet, so that can be expected. We'll make a constant called bullet min y, and that will equal let's just say 8. That's going to be fine. We need to kill the bullet when it reaches that. I wonder whether I can just do it inside this move bullets loop. Almost certainly, yeah, because it's moving it right here. So may as well check it before it moves. It's already loaded it in there. That's its y value. Can compare it to min y. And here's how the flags are affected in a compare instruction, or whatever you want to call it. If it's less than min y, the C flag will be set. Call C kill bullet. Down here I'll create kill bullet. IX already points at the bullet. See, I do want to find a way of doing a conditional load, because all I want to do is one thing. I want to load IX with 0. Pretty sure I can just do that and then return. But I'd love to find a way of, that's a conditional call. I can't do conditional load, so I have to make a call statement and a function, or a routine, or whatever, subroutine, whatever you want to call them. As far as I tell, that kills the bullet. To be honest, it no longer wants to get moved. In fact, well, the position gets set when it's fired, so we just want to return at that stage. No. No, we'll want to jump to go next. Sometimes the flags which are stored in the AF, in the F part of that specifically, that can get affected by me trying to do all that, and I may have to push and pop AF. I have to try and remember that if it doesn't work. Alright, let's see if it works. Yes, it does. So we've got the beginnings of a game here. I don't know why we've got this pixel remaining near our ship. Don't quite like that, but it's no biggie. I mean, sorry for zooming it out of your view. It's pretty obvious. It's just a bit of the bullet left over for some reason. I mean, maybe we could sub 9 and see what happens when we move it up. And it's fixed it. No, it hasn't. So it's when we move left. Actually, it's nothing to do with the shooting. Oh, it is to do with the shooting, but it's like on the second or third bullet. Anyway, it's irrelevant right now for what we're doing. I'll try allowing more than one bullet now. Then we need a timer. Oh, yeah. So it doesn't like firing bullets really quick for some reason. HL is obviously being affected. It would need a push and pop somewhere to deal with that, but I don't know where. I don't think it's going to be relevant if we do the timer. So first I'll do the timer. We'll do a constant called bullet interval. We're going to be working in frames here. I've limited it to 50 frames per second so far, so if we wanted to fire 1 per second, I'd have to make this 50. I'd say 25 sounds pretty good to me. We also want a variable bullet timer, I guess it's a good enough name. I mean, you could call it bullet interval timer, what, I don't know really. That's fine for me. In our main loop, might as well do it there. Right at the beginning. Load a timer variable in K and load it back in. Much improvement can be made on this auto correction and whatever you want to call it, IntelliSense style thing. But I didn't develop it, you know, I couldn't even dream of being able to develop it, so I'm not knocking him for making it. Timer now goes up by 1 each frame. And he fires. So this could lead to bugs, what I'm doing here, because it will just go up to 255 and then back down to 0. And if I say that I want it to be more than bullet interval, there is going to be sometimes, if the player doesn't shoot long enough, there'll be a little pause where they press shoot and it doesn't actually work. It'll be 25 frames. Let's ignore that for now. So we've got our timer counting up. That's annoying. Is it just bullet interval? Yeah. And if it's less than, return the easiest way. Let's see. Alright. Oh, and of course we need to reset the timer. So let me just double check here. Basically when we spawn the bullet, yeah. That's working. No why we've got this graphic glitch. That's a weird one. Ain't that weird? Oh, maybe, I think, because I set it to 9, that could be upsetting things. No, that had nothing to do with that. Make min y a bit bigger. Yeah. I hadn't really considered well, for some reason it was going over, but that buff wasn't adequate. Let's try making a lesser delay. It doesn't like it for some reason. Wow. So we found a limitation already in my code. It's changing the sprite. It's strange. A halt might fix this, you know, in the right place. Well look, if you go too far to the left, I don't like it. I mean, to be honest, if that's the sort of speeds we're talking about, we can have just 2. That's actually quite fun feeling, to be honest, to play. I'm not quite sure why the sprite is. Oh, they're still sticking all over the place. It's not mattering. So they're obviously not getting deleted before then being moved. But I tell you what, it feels quite fun to play. Even with just 2 bullets, it actually felt a bit better. I like that. It's feeling smooth. I like it so far. Guess we can add some enemies now. Do they want to be alive or dead to start with? I think alive. And what we'll do is we'll have another one to say whether enemies are actually about to come or not, you know. But then we'll obviously have one for each enemy as well, so that we can stop drawing them when they're dead. And enemies are the same size as a player. We'll have a maximum of 5 for now. It's getting a little bit late here, but I'm going to carry on for a bit more. I'm going to put spawn bullet into my main ASM. Just double check it still compiles. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, I hadn't saved it. I didn't save both files. I'm trying to think what I want to work on first. Just drawing an enemy, which we know how to do, or coming up with a wave. So I'm going to have 5 enemies, and they're going to spawn at the very top of the screen, move down about roughly 20 pixels, and then they'll stay there. And you'll have to shoot them quickly, one at a time. They're going to attack you by just moving down the screen towards you. In fact, probably just moving straight down the screen. I may well have it so that they move back up the screen as well if you don't kill them. So far, and certainly tonight, they're not going to shoot back at us. And we're not even going to add any collision detection tonight. So with that said, we'll add some constants. Alright, so that's where they're going to move to and stay. Alright, so I'm calling it default because they're not in their attack state. There's going to be a different one for when they attack. Alright, let's see if we can figure this out. So I could just put a default like distance between them. We're going to have to come up with some algorithm now. Well, in fact, no, we don't need to do that. Just coming up with a way of making them all equally across the screen in the X. Let's do 24. Alright, so that's going to spread them out in the X value. They're always going to remain that until we change them, otherwise they're going to spawn at 0, which is what I want, and then it's going to move down to 24. Yeah, just reading something. It's already getting quite long. We'll need to do the same thing, really. Really, them loops are doing the same thing. We don't need to keep typing them every time. They just need to be named more generically and used differently. The delete one, for example, is only calling delete sprite. As long as IX points to the right thing. I mean, this is late night coding, don't forget. If I called this delete sprites, it would have served the same purpose. Anyway, let's not worry about that. Let's just keep writing it. It doesn't hurt, really. course, we'd then have to come up with a way of preloading BC with the right length if we were going to make it a generic function. No biggie. Right, so that'll delete and draw our moving enemies when we get them moving. We'll want to cache a value for a ball to see if the enemies are initialized or not. I don't want to use the word initialized because I want to do this multiple times in the program. So when they've all been killed, we'll set it back and the spawn will happen again. Enemy wave spawned. No. B. Enemies spawned. D0. But in fact, enemy spawn complete. That's a good enough name for me. So basically we just need a spawn function that checks that. Now I'll do it right at the beginning of our main function. Yes, because if I was just going to spawn these enemies and that would be it, I could do it here obviously. But I'm coming up with a way of spawning them whenever that initialized variable is 0. And that way, if we want to spawn another set of enemies, all we have to do is change that variable back to 0. Don't know why I can't find that. Normally it would for me. There we go. Spawn enemy wave. Call that one. And that's it. Just had a thought. I should have made all those 0. It is alive balls. So the enemies. So now it's yet again just as trivial as making them all spawn, making them all 1. use the same technique. We don't need to check that they're 0. We're going to assume that they're all 0 when spawn enemy wave is called every time. This is also only being called when that is 0. So we just set each one to 1. I think we can do load ix1 and then load bc with enemy length. Just increment the pointer like we normally do. That's just going to iterate through all the enemies, make them 1, and then find that and leave. Well, let's see if we can get them drawing first before we start adding any logic to move them. So there's none drawn, let's figure out why. well, I've noticed the first problem, which is we don't actually set that after we do it. And we do return out of there actually. That shouldn't be call, that should be jump. Oops. We've got one enemy. Wonder why we're not getting any more. Oh, that drawing bug is to do with me holding down the key, so I'll have to come up with a way. I've figured out what the problem is there. So they're either being drawn on top of each other. Maybe this is failing. Try putting some hard numbers in there. Oh wait. That'll do. It's getting late, I'll call it a night soon. Stupid maths by me, but that'll do. It should spread them out a bit. Weird, he's gone over there now. Very odd. Not quite sure why. It might be that my code's too slow to draw them all. Well, it manages to draw the bullet alright. So I'll never look at it running. I mean, it's running pretty quick, isn't it? I don't think it's the drawing. That's the problem. They're up at the top. I suppose that would be where it messes up. Let me try out of interest. setting them all to 90 Y. Still just the one. So that's funny. Okay, they're obviously getting drawn on top of each other, I think. Well, I'll have to have a think about that one another time. Getting a bit too tired for coding. Might come back with one little game to play. See how I feel. Maybe a bit of Nintendo even. Not sure yet. Been nice having everyone watching. This will continue. I'll be back and get these spawning across the screen, moving about in a little wave formation, and then respawning when they're all dead. And maybe when we'll count how many waves, and when we get to 10 we'll make a boss. And then after the boss there'll be a little transition. And, maybe I'll end that project there, who knows. Might carry on further than that, but I want to get at least that far into this game before I stop. So yeah, stick around, find out how we do it. Thank you very much, guys. See you again.